One of the biggest surprises this year has been how quickly the cool flowers have taken off, even with the cold spring. They've been blooming for weeks, but now they're starting to slow down. So that means it's time for something new. Today, I'm harvesting what's left, making a few decisions on what stays, and planting my fall cutting garden, hopefully, if the rabbits and the birds cooperate. Before I can get started, I need to gather everything I'll need for this project. I've got a bucket for my flowers, some fresh soil to top off the bed, string for harvesting, and my cloches to protect the seedlings, and of course the seeds. So let's get to work. It's obvious this bed is in two very different stages. Some flowers are still beautiful and productive, others have clearly reached the end of their season. As gardeners, we get attached to things that are still pretty enough. But one lesson I've learned is that we have to be willing to remove plants when they've served their purpose. This was designed as a spring and early summer cutting bed, and if I want a fall garden, I have to make room for it. Sometimes gardening means letting go of something that's still good so something even better has a chance to grow. Here's a little trick if you're harvesting bunny tails or anything with large bunches of stems. Grasses are the first thing I think of too. Instead of trying to cut through a huge handful all at once, wrap a piece of string around the size of the bundle that you want first. Now you're cutting through the skinny end instead of fighting giant handfuls of stems. It's faster, it's cleaner, and everything stays together. There's definitely a few things that I've learned from this bed. The Orlea was almost too pretty to cut. I kept walking by thinking, maybe tomorrow. Eventually I realized that I planted it as a cut flower, but never actually cut it. Next year, I'd actually like to use it in the landscape instead, where I know I can enjoy it every day. The feverfew was another huge success, but almost too much of one. They grew so tall. And that was nice for all of my bouquets. The only problem was the placement. I planted it on the short end of my bed, and by midsummer, it was shading everything behind it. So next year, it definitely earns another spot, just in a better location. That's one of my favorite things about gardening. Every season teaches you something for the next one. Now that everything has been harvested, the bed looks surprisingly empty. I actually started gardening as a square foot gardener, and I still find myself looking at the bed that way. I'd say I just opened up 8 new squares. Not bad in one afternoon. Before planting anything new, I always like to refresh the soil. Some settles over time, some comes out with the roots of those old plants, and every crop removes nutrients. I'm not replacing everything, just topping off and giving the next round a healthy place to start. Now comes the fun part. Since we're into summer, almost any warm season annual will still work here if it grows quick enough. I'm planting sunflowers, zinnias, amaranth, saponaria, and marigolds. When I lay out the bed, I always think about height. I plant pretty tightly because I want to maximize every bit of sunlight. The tallest plants go on the east side, and then everything steps down in height as you move west. That way, the big guys don't spend all season shading the shorties. It's a simple layout, but it makes a huge difference. Watching someone else plant seeds probably isn't the most exciting thing in the world, but the anticipation never gets old. One of the hardest parts about direct seeding isn't actually planting. It's making sure that those tiny seeds never dry out while they're waiting to germinate. And during a summer heat wave, that's easier said than done. Once everything is planted, it's time for protection. If you've watched my videos for a while, you've probably noticed all the birds singing in the background. They absolutely love this yard. Unfortunately, they also love fresh seeds. Then there's the squirrels and the chipmunks. They seem to think freshly worked soil is an invitation to start digging. These little cloches have worked well for me in the past. They're definitely not foolproof, but they give the seedlings a fighting chance. After that, we cross our fingers. Now everything gets a good soak. I have drip irrigation in this bed, and it's fantastic once the plants are established. But for brand new seeds, it really isn't enough. For the next couple of weeks, I'll be out here hand watering to make sure the soil stays consistently moist until everything gets established. It's a little more work now, but it does make all the difference later. And this is exactly why I shouldn't be using a pretty bucket to collect flowers. I always end up wanting to leave everything together. Instead of making a bunch of little bouquets, I'm just going to enjoy this one giant arrangement outside. Some of these flowers dry beautifully. The bunnytails, the statice, the straw flower will practically last forever. I like the way that zinnias dry as well. The only one that's not going to stick around is the feverfew. And even though it will fade first, I think it's earned its place in this bouquet. I love this. One of my favorite things about gardening is that there's always another season waiting. This bed has been beautiful all summer, but it's just as exciting to see what fall flowers bring. I'll keep you updated as everything starts to grow.